So yes, welcome to episode 132.
132.
Yes, 132 of the Crack Brain podcast.
New format.
I'm pretty sure by now that they're very well knowledgeable that this
Crack
is a new
Brain
format.
Reforged.
Are you done?
Next segment.
Here you go. I am your host, Stefan, followed by to my right.
I am Brandon.
I am Caden.
Ray.
Hi, Ray.
The only one that wasn't here last time was Caden.
Yeah,
Hi, Caden.
Hey.
I am here. I am a filler. Yeah.
You are
The fact that you just said that kind of same like Rain Man, like yeah, I'm just a feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
I come to places when they tell me to come, so
Come.
wait, stop.
Wait, are you even
Go
old
on.
enough?
To come, I mean,
Yeah. Usually that happens
that usually happens
around 12 for guys.
12?
I meant
That's
to
what I
know
said.
about
You're a
that.
late bloomer.
I don't even want to say now.
I had a friend. Her little boy was 2 years old and playing with a water bottle in the bathtub. Just
Okay, granted, when kids are young, they wind up buying, like, especially
Yeah.
boys.
They
You start looking at like, what's that? Hey,
Play.
that's a thing. And
It's,
whatnot. I've caught my kids many times sitting there going like, I don't like. I
it's,
don't want to tell you don't do that, but at the same time, don't.
it's
Privacy.
basically a toy to them.
yeah.
Essentially, Kyson, a little personal, but Kyson, he thought if he squoze his testicles, the pee would come out faster.
Yeah.
And I hear him screaming from the bathroom, like, what's wrong, buddy? I squoze them to make the pee come out faster. I was like, oh, buddy.
Oh, trust me, my
Oh,
little
buddy.
science experiments have done the exact same thing where I've caught them like bat winging themselves instead of going, "Arr!" and I'm like, no, like, don't do that. It's not meant for that.
They'll know not to do it anymore.
Oh, he knows.
Yeah.
He knows. He's like, I don't want to do it, Dad. I
Yeah.
don't want to do it.
So
I was watching this TED Talk about this family counselor, and she was talking about how to bring up sex throughout a child's life, but
Mhm.
starting in small stages to where they're not like dependent on the school to talk to them about that kind of stuff.
no.
And basically, she said it's okay if your children see you, naked, or they're going to see stuff, basically,
Yeah.
or see other people. And there was a 3-year-old, her 3-year-old, that saw a girl at the gym, and he asked, "Mommy, I have my pee-pee. Girls have a front butt." And she's like, "Yeah, they do."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Let's bake cookies."
Well, see, like, and it's something where,
Cookies.
it's like with my kids, I don't hide anything
Yeah.
from them. So like this is kind of grody, but whatever, you guys are going to know this anyway. It's something where, like, in our household, I have kind of like at least since I'm raising boys, I have an open bathroom door policy where it's like my kids, I leave the door open so they've seen me, like, they still see me pee all the time. I really don't care because it's like you guys have the same equipment, whatever. And it's something where, like, even when like Tiff is getting dressed, now we shut the door, but it's less about them seeing like her naked and more about like we just need like 5 seconds away from you guys. So like even when we're watching shows and stuff like that, when nudity shows up, we're never like, oh my God, go away. Yeah, it's like we don't sit there and shut their eyes because it's like, well, I'd much rather them see that than a dude's head get blown off.
Yeah.
Like that we do kind of sit there and be like,
Well,
you need to go away from that. But like someone naked, I don't have any problems letting my kids see, just because it's like,
yeah.
I don't want to demonize something that is fine and natural.
If you hide it, then it becomes a taboo, and then they're
Yeah.
just going to be more curious about it.
Hashtag Utah.
Yeah.
No, hashtag a lot of places.
Well, that's
Yeah.
even with like
Hashtag
candy.
public school.
So growing up, we didn't have candy in my house.
Whoa.
And and we stayed a
Are you Willy
week.
Wonka?
Shut
Are
up.
you okay?
Shut up. We went to stay at my cousins while they went on a second, third, whatever honeymoon, and they had a jar full of candy. We raided that thing because we weren't used to.
You've never had it, so you want it.
Yeah.
So
So
curiosity.
This is the exact same thing.
right. Okay. Now, question. How, like, did you guys actually have the sex talk or talks with your family? Like, how did that go?
No.
Because mine were interesting.
No.
Mine was uncomfortable because very religious family growing up, but we had to have the talk with the parents. That was required for school. Like they actually said, all right, the parents had to sign off on it. And it was interesting having my dad explain stuff to me when it was all taboo at my house.
Right. See.
And you just imagine my dad.
Yeah. See, and that's the part where it's like I'm imagining your dad giving you the talk. And I'm going like, oh no. This is just weird and awkward, and I don't know if I'm ready for this. Because like mine was. So our sex talks were weird because yes, I grew up in a very religious household and still in the same religion, but it's something where like my parents also took the scientific route with it. So it wasn't like I'm going to scare sex out of you. It was, well, no, that's kind of what it did. It was more like, okay, so here's what you do for sex. Here's all the diseases that happen of sex. So like, I remember being 9 years old and going like, not just like, oh, okay, well you could get gonorrhea. It's like my father's showing, like pictures of gonorrhea, like, ugh.
Blue waffle.
No, yeah, it's like the amount of pictures that I saw, which ultimately led me to kind of like, then if I'm going to have sex, I kind of want to make sure that the person is safe and like that I really think this through and whatnot, which is why like I don't have a large sexual back history and whatnot, but it's still something where like that was one of the best forms of like, I don't want to say birth control, but it was just like, it made me way more mindful of it just because it was like, I really don't know what's out there and I don't want to just go and like, I'm going to have fun just for fun's sake,
Internet wasn't around when I was getting the talk.
No, we did the other thing. We went to the public library. Okay, so getting like the old like medical manuscripts and stuff like that.
Blowing the dust off.
My father was very interesting with the way he would do it. It's like, yes. And see, the other bad part is we also had family friends that like, when I say family friends, they legitimately felt like family.
Yeah.
And he would give the sex talk with us, with them there too. So it was almost like a full classroom of like 9, 12, 16-year-old kids. They're just like, and so when by the time it got to the school, when the school's like, okay, we're going to show you guys sex education, we're sitting there with battle scars of like, you guys are getting the Disney Channel version of this. This is, I'm telling you right now, this is so much worse.
And all the Disney Channel stars of
dude, no.
So,
they're not anymore.
If you're interested, we showed the kids, there's this book series called It's Not The Stork. And it basically, there's 3 books. The first book's for like kids aged from like 5 to 7. The next one's 8 to 9. And the next one's like when you start puberty. And it talks all about the same stuff. It's the birds and knees, changes through the bodies. But it's written by a child therapist and illustrated in a way where it makes sense to children, but it's still educating. So that's what we showed the kids. The kids all know what sex is and what a penis is called.
Remember when I taught them what being shit-faced was?
Yeah. They
that was
Brandon showed my kids one not to do with alcohol.
Was that the last hurrah?
Yes, it was.
Was it the last hurrah?
That was the last hurrah?
That was the last
hurrah.
one. You stopped drinking at my house. My house was the last time. Oh, let's just say that me and Brandon have evolved our relationship to new heights. I'm the type of friend that loans him my clothes.
Wait, did I wear your clothes?
You did wear my clothes.
You did.
I gave you a pair of my pants because yours were not okay anymore.
So you've been to his house. So his bathroom
That's even more detail than Car gave me.
So she wasn't there.
She was not there.
She was not there. So how could she give you detail?
I'm just saying.
But his bathroom covered in my vomit.
It was so bad.
Yeah,
it was my birthday too.
Yeah,
His 21st birthday?
No. What? You're 19?
No, guys, I turned 21 this year.
I know, but I'm saying no. When that was
no, that was my 20th. That was
okay.
That
was
last year.
Your birthday's in May. This was in February or January.
Oh, it must have just been like a game night then.
Yeah, something like that. So
I think it was a friend get together.
It was a friend get together.
Yeah, because we're all part of like an RTX chat.
It was your bachelor party where I got drunk too.
Yes, but that
was also another fun one. And yeah, that is on the YouTube.
That is my bachelor party is forever. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's forever held in memory on the Cracked Brain YouTube channel. Go give it a watch.
I think what was it like? I was catching eggs, like squatting down on eggs. I was carrying eggs and like squatting down and then putting them in your mouth.
And then the trick was to just crack them open in your mouth. Yeah. Oh, my bachelor party was so much fun.
You fit that much in your mouth?
You'd be surprised what I can put in my mouth.
I need an advertisement.
Just saying.
Well, no, you have to go like this.
All of a sudden he gets halfway down. So like, oh.
No, like I took like 12 shots in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you did.
He went hard on that party, and
I made everyone else go hard.
We had tacos, so I think that was the bad part. And then we tried to move him. So what happened was we tried to move him from the table to this blue chair I have that leans back.
And that's what set me off.
That's what set him off. He immediately was like, nope. And then got like halfway to the bathroom and a little bit came out onto the carpet and then made it to the rest of the bathroom. And as soon as he opened the door, it was.
See, I don't vomit just a little bit. It's a fire hydrant.
It was everywhere. And then I thank God for cosplay because I put on rubber gloves. I had my face mask, safety goggles, put my hair back, and I was like, okay, let's go in here and do this.
Yeah.
That's where for the RTX chat. I think you are. For those who are not in the RTX chat, that's where Senor Tortilla.
I was sitting here racking my brain like there was something either quesadilla or tortilla or something.
Is that on
for
Discord?
It.
No.
It's a whole different other chat that we have.
We've moved to Discord from this one.
Yeah. But so he wasn't feeling good. He was on his side, and as a good friend, I let him have his space, but I was also checking on him to make sure, he's not dying. And then bringing him water to sip on, and then I took a tortilla that we used for the tacos and like folded it up and just left it on the counter for him. I was like, "This is for you to eat," and then it was from then on dubbed the nickname Senor Tortilla.
Oh.
You have a lot of nicknames.
The tortilla's named
Tortilla was
named Senor Tortilla.
Oh, but still, you have a lot of
nicknames. I'm an old man, so I've experienced a lot.
He's also experienced ice cubes down his pants.
And Swedish fish and Oreos.
Yeah, crack
crack
parties are interesting.
I was drunk again.
He was.
I was
I think Carly was also helping me hold you down though.
Dude, when everyone dogpiled me, I was freaking out because I couldn't breathe.
Well, it was a mix of that. Also, Moody was holding you down.
Yeah, maybe it was Moody.
It was a whole lot of people.
There is some sort of redhead there. I don't know.
If you're a redhead, you're trying to kill me. That's been wrong. For years.
Not wrong.
That's why I've got Caden.
Yeah. Okay. So
protecting me.
Right. So now. There's which wasn't really supposed to be our first topic, but
I know.
There's been some things that have gone on over the last 2 weeks. Well, by the time
it's probably 3 weeks.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, probably
ever since something showed up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this sparked off something, but my deep-seated hate goes way further back. But yeah, I'll let you go and introduce this one.
Well, I'm gonna say I think every January kids do these stupid challenges, and I want to say January is the biggest one.
It is.
It's got to be. Last year, it was the Tide Pod Challenge. This year, it's the Bird Box Challenge, and the big thing that happened up in Layton was someone was driving and put their beanie over their eyes.
Okay, well, before you go into that, explain the Bird Box Challenge.
Got it. Okay. Bird Box Challenge is you are reenacting the show on Netflix called Bird Box, where you cannot see, you blindfold yourself, because if you watch it, like there's this creature that kind of convinces you to kill yourself, or depending on your mental state, go crazy. It's a good ending. The beginning is like, holy shit kind of thing. So it's not for the faint of heart. Watch with caution. That's all I can say. Trigger warning.
Mm-hmm.
But kids are trying to do everyday tasks or something, being blindfolded, and this chick, minor, put her beanie over and started driving up Layton Parkway. She lost control and got in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
So, and kids are doing all kinds of things.
Just don't be dumb. Let's get
don't be dumb. Like when I started seeing the news articles as far as, it's like someone crashed over in Layton from the Bird Box Challenge. I was already sitting there going like, okay, you would think that years of life experience, as far as like my hands cover my eyes, I can't see anymore. So thus I can't really like do much else. That years of that sort of knowledge would inform someone like, oh, well, if I can't see while I operate a vehicle, maybe that's a bad idea.
Not if you want to try to be internet famous.
So part of it, though, is in the show, they have to get to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So they cover up the windows, but this car has proximity sensors and a GPS doing the exact route to the thing. And they can, they're going slow and get the proximity sensors when they're about to hit a car, and they kind of turn a little bit. But this was not a car that had sensors that she was driving. It was a hand-me-down, early 2000s probably.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact year, but
still, like, what is the process that makes you think, like, this is a fantastic idea for internet relevance?
We used to do this thing as young.
Did you snort condoms?
What? Whoa! Let her go on with the story.
I'm not that dumb. We used to do a similar Bird Box Challenge while driving, but what we would do is it's like a trust thing. I mean, you go on a road that nobody's there, of course, and you're only going like 20 miles an hour, but you have one person, the driver is, still on the brakes and the gas, but they let their hands off the steering wheel and they close their eyes. And the passenger has to tell them when to brake, when to speed up, and also steer.
See, I
can get that on like a closed course.
Yeah, like I can understand something like that, on a long forgotten road, one that like is super wide or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm from where we have tons of back roads.
Exactly. Like I could understand that, but when you're thinking like Layton or anything like that, see, part of me like this honestly goes to a much bigger issue, which is I think just challenges in general. Like I'm so sick and tired of challenges.
Yeah, it gets attention. That's what people want. Everybody wants.
Yeah, it's like everyone's like, oh, let's go and do the next challenge so that way I can. It's like I remember when like the first one that I think I can really remember of like relevance was like the ice bucket challenge. And that one was supposed to be for a good cause for ALS. Which if you're not familiar with ALS, it's Lou Gehrig's disease. And I've had a family friend, well, now he's passed, but he fought Lou Gehrig's disease for 7 years, which are only really supposed to last 2, so he fought for that long. But when that came out, he was still alive and he's going like, great. What does you guys dumping ice on you help me at all? And that's where he kind of set that in my eyes of just like, yeah, it kind of helped with the relevance, but the message got lost. It just became more about like, let's do this thing, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to, if you're challenged, you're supposed to donate.
You were supposed to go and donate. But even so, like even a donation is great, but it's always, if you're broadcasting the donation, like I made it this, it's like fantastic. if you want to go and let people know about the issue, there's better ways than just saying one time, hey, I donated for this. It's like it needs to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, just challenges in general, I always just sit there as far as like, it almost reminds me of like when my kids will sit there and kind of like do something just because they want attention, because they know like, oh, if I punch my brother really quick, dad's going to notice me, so I swear to God, if you
what are the rules? What are the rules?
No hitting.
Right. So
Pineapple.
it's like, I just look at every single challenge as, as basically it's the internet, people on it going like, look at me, it's like,
it's a popularity contest. It's an
Popular.
overglorified. Some people just can't get out of high school, man.
Were you popular in high school either?
I was
one
a
of you?
jock.
No, I was not.
I could see
okay,
that.
but that doesn't
You're a little-
explain.
You still didn't
That
wear the
doesn't
hoop and necklaces.
explain if you were popular or not.
That's true.
Well, jocks were.
Well,
There's still some jocks that were
So-
like,
No, that's
my
true.
class was very, very weird. Cheerleaders were at the bottom of the totem pole. The football team bought the marching band a cake for being their number one fans.
Wow.
All state pro wrestlers were the SBO officers and student body officers. It was completely different. Like the jocks were
Yeah.
friends with the skaters. It was a weird.
so it was the dream. Everyone was nice to each other.
No,
No.
like seriously, like I had a fight that I wasn't in the fight, but it was probably this two girls, yelling at each other, and literally it was like a Jerry Springer, yeah, Jerry Springer episode where like one girl's like, "You don't know me, you don't know where I've been." She literally was saying that, and we were all chatting, Jerry. Everyone in the lunchroom came and circled around and was watching it. But no, I'd say, yeah, I got away with everything in high school. Like I wanted just a class, I could say, oh, it's for auto tech. Oh, it's for track, kind of thing. I could just use excuse because, yeah, and it worked.
Yeah. Wow.
Like my senior year, I did nothing.
Not surprised
Okay.
at all by this.
No, I did all my work earlier. I was enjoying it. I still graduated with excess credits.
Nice.
Nice.
So on the honor roll and everything.
Well, aren't you smart?
SMRT, I am so smart.
I had to make sure that was spelled correctly. For a second.
I knew you were doing
I was
It's
it.
Homer Simpson.
I saw your eyes flick up. I'm just like, you're actually
It's
thinking
Homer
about
Simpson.
it.
I was
I am so
thinking about
smart.
it. I was like-
SMRT, I am so
Right.
smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
That
a
was.
classic line.
You think I watched The Simpsons? I have now, but I wasn't.
So
I didn't in
this
my younger
that
years.
episode probably came out well before I was your age.
Probably.
Yeah,
That show's
like a
been-
lung.
Have you ever gone back and watched like the first season of The Simpsons? And
I
seen
didn't like the
difference
first
in
season.
drawings?
Yeah, well, they
That's
changed it
so
after
weird.
the second or third they changed
Yeah.
animation,
Yeah, I was like, this is The Simpsons.
and then after
What is happening?
13th episode they changed again, or season they kind of changed again
Yeah.
when they came out with the movie.
Yeah, I watched that
Spider
movie
Pig,
as well.
Spider Pig does whatever a spider pig does. And
That was the pig.
So, Kiebe,
What?
what were you in school? You said that wasn't the case for you.
I mean, honestly, I was kind of
K to the bay.
the emo kid in the back that was just like always had the notebook or like a book of some sort and like was just writing stories or like creating my own fantasy to escape from the hell I lived in because kids are mean and yeah.
Just staring at the camera. Just like zoom in.
I can do that. I've done it before.
Team
Yeah.
Dad.
Me,
Ooh.
so I think I've said it a few times on this podcast, but I classify myself more along the lines of like the Ferris Bueller. God, that's such an old reference for most people, but
God,
yeah,
really?
it's something where like a lot of basically everyone knew me, and I was technically friends with everybody, but
Right.
like I wasn't. I have a tough time saying that like I was popular as much as just sort of like
Popular.
I was just sort of liked, like, I was that. So something that would happen is like when we would do pep rallies and, and assemblies and stuff like that, the whatever team they wanted to go and advertise is like, oh yeah, we're having the tennis team come out, the football team, surf team and whatnot. So I was on some of those teams, but like every single pep rally from like, I think it was the end of sophomore year until senior year. All of a sudden, like halfway through, you would just hear this chant of like backflip, backflip, backflip. And it was literally just nothing but like all of a sudden wherever I was, and we did it inside our auditorium. So like the lights were always kind of shut down and we'd have a spotlight over on whoever was talking. All of a sudden, it would just be like, I would just sort of sit there and all of a sudden the spotlight would hit me. And then I would literally have to walk down the bleachers, get in front of everyone, do a backflip, and then walk right back up. It was a widespread thing enough to the point where, like, I've said it before, like actually graduating before the ceremony, the principal came up and was like, this is a sacred ceremony. You will not be doing a backflip. And then during everything, like they announce my name, I go up to go and get my diploma and whatnot. And he literally says, like, in front of everyone, because at the same time, everyone's cheering on backflip. And he's literally going like, there will be no backflips today. None at all. And I'm just sitting there like getting this and walking back. Afterwards, my parents are going like, who are you? Because you don't bring anyone home. You don't hang out with anyone. You go to dive practice. You come home. You go to work. That's it. Like, we never see you with anyone. I'm like, yeah, at school, I'm kind of known. Like I was also weird enough where I would just walk into random classes. Like there were like, I think my sophomore year, my English class. I never sat.
Class?
I went to the class. I never sat down in my seat once. I would stand up, or I'd stand up over in the back, or I'd sit down over on the teacher's desk. I never did it and I wasn't a dick about it. I just never sat down at my own desk. Like I was just
on it.
Yeah, it was weird. Like it was also one of those where I took Japanese, but then before my Japanese classes for all 4 years, I would walk into into whatever Spanish class that was right by, and I would start rubbing people's head, even the teacher's head. I'd just walk in, rub people's head, and walk out. I actually have a picture of this. I will bring this. I'll bring this picture because I got to show you guys. I'm just over there rubbing people's heads and just go like, ah! And then I would walk out and then go right back over to my class. Okay. I was also known for like senior year, the girl I kind of had like a crush on, but never really talked to and whatnot. We would ditch school every single Tuesday to go over to Disneyland. Everyone knew about it and no one said a damn word about it.
Disneyland.
Yeah, it's like it was just sort of like, oh yeah, they just go off to Disneyland. So not gonna go and do it.
You never really talked to her, but you went to Disneyland.
No. I talked to her. We hung out. We had like multiple classes together. Like we were like really great best friends. And it was something where like I never got up the courage to actually ask her out. But at the same time, it was one of those like all the signs were there as far as like she's into you, but I was also too much of an idiot to actually recognize him and go like, oh.
Well,
I get
I've
that.
heard from a lot of my guy friends that they have similar situations.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard to tell if a girl likes you, okay? As a guy, I can say we're oblivious.
Yeah, if they're going like this.
Well, obviously if they're going like that, but if they're like...
No, I was...
It's the everyday texts, it's the subtle glances, it's the...
But I was the also like a weird version of it where it's like I was half man slut, half naive. Where like, okay, so I was known as far as kind of like the rebound guy where it's like if you broke up with your boyfriend, you'd come over to me. I was kind of like a therapist, so people would talk to me and stuff like that. But then it was like, oh, well, if you just need a makeout partner, fine, that's cool. Because I was also the guy like, I'm not going to have sex with you. So I was kind of safe that way and whatnot. But then at the same time, like the people that I was kind of interested in and they were interested in with me, it was something where like the amount of times when people would be like, oh, or girls would sit there and go like, oh, well, what do you think about this naked shot? And I'm like, it's a really great shot. I wonder if she's into me.
I mean,
and I'd just be sitting there like, huh?
Yeah.
How would I find out? So that's what I mean. Like,
Open communication and asking.
but like, I'm telling you, there were outstanding signs of like, I remember I think it was like my first year of marriage and whatnot. Like, it's weird when I got married, all of a sudden, every girl that I'd ever like had an interest in felt it was okay to tell me like, oh, I was totally into you in high school. And I'm like, I was totally fine never knowing that for the rest of my life. Because now I sit there and look back and go like, that's what that was.
There's something about married men that not all girls, but some girls just can't contain themselves.
It's a problem, and it's a bigger problem when you don't have a ring.
I know. I don't have the ring either because I react to mine, and it's an issue. And it's like, guys, come on, happily married.
Enzo rings, silicone rings.
I had mine and I lost it.
And mine broke.
They're so easy to lose.
Just like
There's actually. Oh, sorry.
no, just go. I'm talking to myself.
It's okay. I'll be your husband.
Are you giving or receiving?
Wait, isn't that cradle robbery?
No, it's not.
He's 20.
How old am I? Oh my
He's
God.
12 years old.
That doesn't help. My wife is 10 years older than me.
I just meant in this situation. I don't mean to. Sorry, Kate.
My age
He's
is
not
a
a
sensitive issue, okay?
Sorry.
He's
I'm
not
a man. I'm a
He's
man.
an
Just
adult.
tell me I'm a man. Just,
You're such a
You're-
man.
yeah.
You're a well-endowed man.
You
I don't
would
know that.
not know.
How do
Would
you know?
How would you know?
I take your word.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, I brag about it, which obviously means it's small.
Well, you don't drive a big vehicle, so
It's true. I drive a minivan.
well, that's different than
No, that
that's
just
like
means you have
have
kids.
Yeah, that just
and
means I'm a dad. Yeah, I'm a dad at 20, y'all.
well, you were
It's okay.
19.
It's true. Got married when I was 19 to my 29-year-old.
I love you guys. So much.
All right, so but yeah, you guys are allergic to your rings. I have a bitch ring. What do you?
Well, I
have?
heard you get tattooed.
I don't have
You can get
anything,
tattooed.
but there is I don't know how to explain it fully psychologically.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go on.
But there is a weird conundrum or whatever. Whenever anybody, it happens to girls too. Whenever anybody's in any sort of relationship, like usually committed, but whether it's marriage or just a
Mhm.
boyfriend, girlfriend, or a partner, they seem to attract more people because they're like in that weird state of mind or they just give off a weird
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah, it's like,
that is attractive.
yeah, I know I'm all that, so you got it.
Well, I mean, it's that plus it's like you do carry yourself differently. It's like when
You
you're
do.
not looking, you
do.
happen to have a lot more confidence. You're not necessarily, you're
Yeah,
most of the time you're not nearly as desperate and whatnot.
Yeah.
So thus
Yeah.
you
that's
give
what-
off this like, I don't really care. And people find that
Yeah,
attractive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, cause that is, it's it's been one of the issues in my marriage, especially being like when I was trying a lot more for cosplay, the amount of times when I'd sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, yeah. Like when I did Sage, you remember how much I was like, I really don't want to take my shirt off. I really don't want to take my shirt off. And I wasn't in the best of shape then. I was my version of doughy. And it was something where that was like a long seated discussion between me and Tiff. As far as like, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. And as soon as I uploaded those pictures, as far as like, okay, fine, I've got my shirt off. The amount of attention was just like,
I know.
oh, we're completely fine with telling you all of these things because you're married. And it's like, but this is what causes problems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like with me, it's more of like I'm just oblivious to when girls are hitting on me, and then Jenna's always like, "This girl's hitting on you."
yeah, she's hyper aware.
She knows, and I'm like, "No, it's fine. She's just a friend." So,
Yeah.
and then later stuff blows up, and I'm like, "You were right, and I should just listen to you,
Yeah.
Jenna."
Yeah, no one hits on me, so
I hit on you.
well,
You get hit.
you get hit.
Yeah.
The only one that hits me is Carly.
Anyways, I think there was another topic that you had, Ray.
Next
yeah,
segment.
it actually had to go
Next
with
segment.
kind of
Hitting.
school. Yeah, and hitting. Actually, very, very much so. There's a little girl. I believe her name is pronounced Gila Li.
Yeah, I think it's Gila Li. I'm always trying to remember, but
Well,
names are always
Yeah,
difficult unless you
names are
hear it from the person.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
So-
Stefan.
Stefan.
I hate you both.
She's I don't know what grade she's in, but she's having trouble in school with bullying, and she's a very young looking girl. So maybe elementary school, maybe even like first, second grade.
Mm.
And I can relate to that because I was bullied all throughout school. I was just that weird kid that was, I don't know if infamous is the right word, but there was just so many rumors circulating about me. And I was really innocent. Like, I was super sheltered. Like, I didn't know about any of whatever they were talking about. Like, in fourth grade, they were calling me a dyke. That was one of my nicknames, and I didn't even know what the word was.
Wire cutters.
Yeah. And I mean,
Sorry.
I was like shoved in garbage cans. I was locked in the boys' bathroom multiple times with the lights off, and I couldn't find them. And they were doing like there was like different games that they would play, like Bloody Mary or what's that? Slender Man and just like all that stupid stuff. But it was really traumatizing. Like, I couldn't even leave my backpack alone. Like, not even a binder. I once left my backpack alone because my friends convinced me, and the jocks, no offense, ended up
Sorry.
stealing my backpack, took it in the boys' bathroom, pissed on everything, stole my magic cards and all of my money. And I was a very young kid with like a very hard part-time job, and I was only making $5 an hour, so $20 was a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I had to buy my own school books, my own school supplies, most of the time my own school clothes, because I grew up very poor. Sometimes we didn't even we go to bed hungry, and we'd have to wait till school the next day just to eat the free food.
Yeah.
So it was just, I mean, there's a lot more to it, but I just wanted to get that basics out there, that I wasn't like per se in any sort of social clique group. Like, usually it was like the nerdy people, but we all did sports. We were all like really smart, but I don't know. I had to work really hard, whereas all my other nerdy friends they were so gifted with like smarts that they didn't even have to try.
Yeah.
And I was so jelly.
Right.
But going back to Gila Li, her mom wanted to help make her know that she's not alone in the bullying issues that a lot of people face. And so there's a lot of people online, especially cosplayers, that are taking a picture of themselves with a sign that says, "Hey, Galilee," and like your name or the name of your cosplay character and where you're at, and you hashtag it, or somehow show it to where the mother can get a hold of it, and it's hashtag Hey Galilee, and we'll take a picture and post it on our Cracked Brain social media. So if you want to participate and share or just help support this little girl.
Yeah. Well, and it is something where, because bullying, especially now, whether it's, actual school bullying or cyberbullying, wherever it is something where before it it was always known that it was going on, and there was always this sort of lighthearted, especially when you look at like movies, from the 90s and 80s, like, yeah, everyone knew that bullying was a thing, know.
Yeah.
Now there's more of like this hyper awareness of it, as far as like, no, this is a deep-seated problem, especially with how many, suicides that have been attributed to it. So it's something where the more that the more not only just the awareness, but the more actual like activism that comes out. Because that, as we were kind of talking before with like some of the challenges, it's one thing to just sit there and, do just sort of like a quick, like, oh, okay, well, let's take a picture. Let's do this. Blah, blah, blah. But when you actually start taking these steps of like, no, let's actually make this, something that starts going away, So by not only sharing stories, but then looking out for others and whatnot, it's like we're locally, even as far as events, we have our own sort of, adult bullying / harassment that that consistently goes on with events. So it's something more than just like, okay, well, talking about it is fantastic, but what else are you going to do on top of that? It's like, how are you going to help how are you going to help find the solution rather than only just pointing out that this is a problem,
That goes with the whole like awareness thing. Like I noticed in a lot of the awareness campaigns that they don't really do much for the cause. Maybe like, getting donations to get, help for the people, but they're not really, some of them aren't really taking steps towards affecting. And I also want to say that there is a difference between, teasing and having fun as kids, because that's what you kind of need, and actual bullying and harassment. And it's something that I noticed that some people, you can't really not keep kids from playing with each other. Like, just being kids.
Yeah.
Because some people do take it too far, especially in this day and age where everybody's hypersensitive and hyper just like, I must be in a bubble or have my kid in a bubble. That's going to prevent them from
having certain experiences and becoming, a little bit more functional. And that's, like I said, I mean, that's always one of the things that as a parent, you always kind of worry about, whereas it's like, okay, how much interaction is going to be good for our kid? How much is not going to be good? Where it's like my oldest son, since he's young, I'll just put it that way. It is something where he has dealt with bullying issues that he's talked to us. And there were times when he would not want to go to school because before he would always go like, I feel sick. And then later on, like we'd sit there and talk and I'm like, are you really sick? And it took a while to go and get it, but he was like, no, this boy he's pushing me, he's hitting me and whatnot. And we would tell him like, hey, you need to talk to your teacher and then you need to talk to us and whatnot. And then there were times when it would just be him and I, like we'd have these, what I call big boy times. So we'd just go on a walk or we'd go over to the store and whatnot. We'd hang out. And there were times I'm like, there's some times that you're gonna have this happen to you. There's times when you're gonna have to just swallow it and take it. There's gonna be other times where you need to get other people involved. And there's times that you need to deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
And
definitely a fine line though.
Yeah. And I told him, I was like, there's times when you're not going to know which one to do. And odds are the one that you do is going to be the wrong one to go and do. But you need to always do something about it.
Yeah.
Even doing nothing technically is doing something, so it's like, you can't do nothing every single time. You just have to figure out which one calls for it. And since then, he's been a lot more receptive over to it. We've gotten to one fighting discussion that he actually started, like he actually hit back. And I will classify it as like, I like the way that he handled it. Like, yes, he got reprimanded for it. And even when he came home, like it was one of those where it was like, tell me what happened. Then the teacher told me what happened. And I was like, we're going to deal with it. But I also stood in his corner. I'm like, he was being bullied. And I would much rather him in this specific case, he acted on it. So I'm technically more on his side than on your side.
Yeah.
So I don't say that a physical means is the solution every single time, but this was an ongoing problem. Thankfully, because it got physical, it was the last time that it happened, but it was something where I was like,
well, that's that's kind of how it's been with Kyson. We actually just recently, this last week, had to have a talk with him because he was pulled into the principal's office because he pulled another kid off another kid with a Chinese jump rope because the other kid was jumping on them and was not leaving them alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we had to talk with him, and it's definitely one of those moments where it's like, I know you want to be protective and you were being an ally, but at the same time, you need to assess the situation and figure out what's going on. Personally, I agree with what he did. He pulled the kid off. The kid was hurting the other person. The kid said he was hugging the girl, but we all know how that is. Right. But it's definitely one of those times where you have to think to yourself, especially when it comes to kids, because as kids, they're still malleable.
Yeah.
They're still like shaping themselves, and whether we like it or not, a lot does affect them.
Yeah.
And so it's deciding, I'm not mad at you because you did the right thing, but you also have to look at all your other decisions.
Yeah.
And it's really assessing the situation. That's Kyson kind of got it, but at the same time, he's just going to do him.
It takes time, and I'm really happy to hear that you guys as fathers, which sometimes is at least rare where I come from. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of that kind of
thought
or just development for children, especially for boys.
Yeah.
And I just feel like boys really need a father.
Well, they're taught to shove down their feelings and emotions. Yeah. They can't feel.
Well, I mean, and that is why, kind of bringing it back over to a little bit more adult, that's why there are so many harassment cases, is because what you learn as a child, you take with you as an adult, whether positive or negative.
Yeah.
So when we, like I said, locally we have FanX, and some of the different issues that have gone on with FanX has been harassment issues, and they've gone, through their own means to try to make steps to go forward. So they try to have an enforcement policy. They try to have a harassment hotline. They also have the community thing. Yeah. And as cosplayers, since we're some of the ones that are more directly involved with it, it's something where we've seen try to make these steps forward and have seen like the inefficiencies within, like, that didn't quite work, or maybe you guys should have tried this. At least the most or not necessarily the most, is what I will say is that they actually have tried doing something about it. It's just been something where very clearly it's something where they're an event, they have certain restrictions on them, plus they're also trying to make money, so thus their means of doing things are going to be different than what we would always say to go and handle it, which is something where everyone is like, recently, there have been more panels on harassment, which again, I think is great. It's great to point the issue out over there, but it's always what you're going to do. Personally, and it's something that, like I said, this is me personally, it's not something that is necessarily associated with Crackbrain, but I have actually messaged the event about what I would like to go and do, as far as, hey, this is how I think we could actually step in and make more of a support structure, so less about, like not enforcement, but more along the lines of like what goes on with harassment. People that are the harassers pick on people that, feel less confident or alone or things like that. So how can you go and help that? Well, let's provide a kind of like a support structure. So an identifiable way of like having people like, look, if you feel threatened, come on out over here. And sometimes it doesn't even take like you feel threatened. Sometimes it's just like, I don't want to feel threatened, so thus I'm just going to go there anyway.
I don't want to be alone.
Exactly. It's like, I don't want to be alone. So it's like going through, going up to people and going like, hey, can I be part of the group? And like I said, we're pretty doggone approachable. So it's a whole lot easier to be like, hey, yeah, come on over and hang out with us. Yeah. I'm not about to start singing to you all to come out, but
why not?
We're like sirens.
It's like, sometimes I feel like the Pied Piper, as far as like, come to me.
You're good at serenading.
I know. It's a thing. Shut up.
Plus-
No, I was just
Like
saying
that.
when I started singing, Carly's like, "Shut up, Brandon. Just shut up."
That's how it is with me. I start to sing and Jenna's like, but then I like do my fake singing voice and she's like, that's actually the one that's good. You need to do that.
I don't have a fake
Yeah.
singing voice.
I started actually singing to Tiff today because of a song, and she's like, I always forget that you were in theater and you sing sometimes, but then you sing that way. And then it's like, I don't want you to stop, but at the same time, you're my husband. I want you to stop because there's crap that needs to be done.
Did she lose that love and feeling?
It's kind of like that. I like that advice about if you're in a heated argument, just strip down, get naked, and you can't be angry at each other.
Okay, no, I've done this before. It doesn't always work. Yes, like in a 7-year marriage, I'm telling you right now, sometimes going like, we're fighting, and then stripping down and going like, ha! The other person just sort of looks back at you and goes like,
they make fun of it. They're like, oh, did little Timmy come out to play?
See, that might happen for you. What happens for me is Tiff going like, what made you think this was the solution to what this was? And I sit there and go like, I don't know. And she's like, you need to stop being funny.
Stuff, okay?
Stop trying to be funny.
we go for it. When we're in trouble, we're just like, okay, how can I fix this immediately? Most of the time, you can't fix it immediately. Most of the time, it needs constant work. But you're just like, nope, got to fix it now because that's just how our brains are wired.
Because we're guys, so yeah, ours is
and then they're just like, that's ugly, put it away.
The naked man works 2 out of 3 times.
Given the situation.
I've never tried it with. I'm
think
taking
anybody
notes.
wants to hear about that.
I'm telling you right now, gauge the situation.
Yes.
Okay. I'll say this much. The naked man is good for sexy times and is good for funny times. There's times when you just sitting on the bed completely naked, if you know it's a joke and going like, what's up, is a great idea. But when you're fresh off a fight and she walks in and you're butt naked and going, what's up? I'm telling you right now, is only going to be another fight.
Yep. So personal story time. Oh, I want to pick since we need to be wrapping up. But anyways, so a little personal. Sorry, Jenna. There was one time. So when we go to bed, we're usually watching a show or something, and we got to turn everything off. We turn the lights off, and we head to our bedroom.
Turn yourself
This
off.
time we turned all the lights off, and we're using the flashlights on our phones, right? I was naked, and my penis was
Exposed.
erect. So I had the flashlight looking down at the ground, and I'm just walking. Jenna turns around and is like, oh, God. My penis's shadow was huge. I'm talking like 5 feet. And you could see all like the little, and it was huge. And then she was just like traumatized by it. I thought it was funny to chase her. So I was like that, I'm gonna get you. I just chased her. It was so funny. I actually have the picture still, but I don't know. I don't want to share that.
See, your approach is much better than what I would have done, because guaranteed, if Tiff had seen that, like I'm a comics fan, so if she would have looked down and seen the shadow of that, my reply would have just been, the shadow knows and whatnot. So yes, if you are a comics fan and you saw the shadow, that was his tagline. So, and she knows me stupid enough to know that I would just sit there and be like, just inching closer to her every single time.
Yeah.
It's like, what's up?
Yeah.
But then you know what? I'm not going to get into that story right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Carly doesn't understand my references. Because I would use that, and she would be like, what?
What? Yeah, see, like I said, that's a thing with either being a 90s kid or just being a comics fan, that you just sit there and go like, you're always going to have stuff lost on it. It's like Ferris Bueller. There's a great portion of people that probably have no idea. Same thing with like Top Gun. Until this last week, You would have done
know.
any sort of reference to Top Gun, and Jenna would never have
She
known.
would never know. I actually, part of what, okay, so I got my wife to watch Top Gun for the first time last night, and it was great. It was so good. I love Top Gun so much. I mean, the movie itself it's okay.
It's great. That's great.
In the time, in the 80s, perfect movie. It was great. I mean, by today's standards,
And Goose,
it's okay.
I know he dies.
Well, spoiler for people who haven't seen it. Spoiler
It's a long-seated movie, but no. I'm Goose.
He's Goose. I'm Maverick.
No,
I'm
no.
Iceman.
My nickname in my hometown when I was 17 was Goose because in the forestry service, that's what they started calling me from training on. So it was all over my jacket. I had the Top Gun like badges.
Are we back to animals that we are?
See, shut up.
Goose.
It was, I sit there and I classify myself as Goose because look at Goose from the movie and look at my personality.
It's pretty
Yeah,
similar.
but that's self-dubbed. Mine was given.
Mine was not self-dubbed. Mine was
agree with
given
him,
to me
he's
as
Goose.
well.
He's the Goose to my Maverick.
I'm
Well,
Iceman.
maybe in your situation.
Yeah, that's
There is
true.
no situation other than my situation.
No, but see,
okay?
like, given the
the
situation,
universe revolves
given
around me.
Well, right, but
No, that's
yeah.
an Iceman persona.
But see, what I will say is that
Help. I don't know how this goes. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Sorry.
no,
Team down.
it's something. Like I said, it's something where that movie is incredibly foundational for so many people. One other reason why I love that movie, and am kind of looking forward to the one that's supposed to be coming out, but at the same time dreading it, is because
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
how many movies other than like Top Gun and Iron Eagle and Firefox actually had real
I've never
Actual-
seen those other two.
other flying movies?
Yeah.
Okay, but actually shot in the air.
Yeah,
Like, yes,
yeah.
they use miniatures for like stuff blowing up, but like think of like when the F-16s and whatnot actually did their roles and whatnot. They actually had to film those.
Yeah.
Well,
You
yeah,
can
it's like-
tell. You
yeah,
can
it's
tell
like
if
they
you pay
actually-
attention.
It's like they actually did that. So now I'm sitting there going like, those were freaking fantastic. And then you look at other movies that have come out that were also aviation inspired. Like I look back at a movie, it's not good really at all, but Stealth. They CGI'd every single
they
stinking
did.
shot, and it's like, that just irritates me. So if the next Top Gun comes out and it's just like a bunch of CGI and I sit there and go like, guys, couldn't you, like, one of the greatest things with those movies were the fact that they actually had those planes and they were doing things with those planes. Can we do things with those planes? I'm sorry that I hit the table.
Well,
Man.
that was part of my favorite thing last night was because usually, so I went to flight school and then I did all that. I passed all my face tests, and then I went in for my class 3 physical, and they were like, sorry. Yeah, so I can't get my license, which sucks, but because that was my dream. But anyway, so I know a lot about planes because obviously I basically went to, I did go to school for it. So last night, me and Jenna was talking, and usually when I talk to her about planes, she just gets glassy eyed and is like,
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. But last night with the visual, and I could explain what jet wash was.
Yeah.
And the canopy, I can explain what the canopy was and how it's supposed to work, how it didn't work, and all the
What happened in the
like a
canopy?
negative G inverted dive is, and all of that. I was really happy to like fangirl about that and be able to explain it, to her with visual representation. She actually understood it, so now she knows what jet wash is. And she hates me because Goose died, and she was like, it happened, and she almost started tearing up. She was like, no one dies in this movie, right? And I'm like, I told you it was going to make you feel things.
It's like I said, that is the cutoff point where I've told so many people like it is a fantastic movie up until that point, and then everything that happens after that, you can almost just sort of like stop watching the movie.
Yeah,
because yes, it's still
meh I mean, there's
after
a
that,
conclusion, but it's
yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with like Full Metal Alchemist. Or
I think
Full Metal Jacket.
see, I thought that's where I thought you were going. I'm all like,
yeah.
We've now
Go
switched to
on.
anime. That they filmed that in real life too.
I mean, with all the
Actually,
Netflix
yeah.
adaptations.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, they
couldn't
have
get
Attack
through
on
that.
Titan that's like real life.
I did. I saw that poster.
I
and I'm
haven't
like,
seen it. I want
what?
to see it.
They're
It's-
remaking it again.
Yeah, it's a thing. The Bleach one was
They made a
semi
Bleach
decent.
one?
Yeah, it's semi decent, but it's
I want
semi
to see a
decent.
One Punch one or like a
I haven't finished that. I still need to finish that one.
Yes.
One Punch.
Right.
Oh, so I was thinking of awesome like T-shirt ideas, and speaking of One Punch, I want to know what you guys think of. You know those shirts that say "Eat, Sleep, Whatever,"
Yeah.
or repeat.
Live, love, eat, or
Yeah.
live,
Yeah.
love,
Eat,
laugh.
sleep, crack brain.
Yeah, we could do that.
No, go on with your idea.
Your idea is always
I
better.
love, not always.
Stick to the live action stuff.
Ah,
Stop cutting her off.
I'm used to it. What do you think of since
Saitama.
Yeah. He always talks about how he become a superhero by sleeping 8 hours every day, making sure you get 3 balanced meals, running and doing his push-ups and sit-ups, and that's how he got his superpowers. But I was thinking of doing something like that, a play on that, like one square is Saitama like sleeping, one of him like eating, just like, all
Yeah.
casually, and this
Salad.
same thing. But I don't know what to kind of tie it all together to make it.
I've got ideas.
Yeah.
We will discuss this.
Okay. I don't know if it's going to be part of Crack Brain.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah, it's a thing. So yeah.
So I already started like a t-shirt. I already started putting t-shirt designs up on a few different websites, and I've been coming up with like some really awesome other ones. Like one is gonna be like says like sassy bitch, and it's got like a little puppy with like a little.
Okay, but can the puppy be Yoshi? Because that'd be perfect.
No, it must be a regular puppy first.
Yeah, but what can we do with the Yoshi?
We, like I said, we will
Constipated.
we will continue to go
yeah.
and talk about these ideas
Yeah.
off microphone. Okay, so yes, I want to thank you guys for being over on this podcast. Like I said, if you want to be able to catch these live, then make sure that you sign on to our Patreon. Even though this is an audio format over on video, you will clearly see the stickers we are holding up. We finally now have our stickers. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Bow.
right. So yes,
So good.
if you do sign up for the, I know it's $5 and on, but $5 and on for the Patreon, you will get. Those are not pasties.
They could be.
They could.
I am your pasty.
you
I am
will
on your
get.
nipple right now.
Oh, Carly's on my nipple. Oh, I've been violated.
And him and Delta are cooing. They're the cooer crew.
Okay, let's stop.
So yeah, but if you guys do sign up for our Patreon, you will get these awesome rewards, such as the stickers, such as the prints that will be continuing to come out. So I'm really looking forward to this. But until next time, people, thank you for joining on for this episode of the Crack Brain Podcast. We will look forward to you guys next time. Until next time, later, y'all.
Bye.
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 Bye.